Westside, but it's also a beautiful day, and I just want to welcome all of you to our New York Community Center for Spiritual Living. And happy 4th, happy July. We are starting our series with a new theme for the month of July, which is divine guidance. So I'm doing a talk this morning about communicating with spirit, and we have a lot of good things that are going on. I'm going to be doing a workshop the third week in August, and I will be giving you information about that. I'll have a flyer for you probably by next week. So that's going to be on The Prospering Power of Love by Catherine Ponder, and I'll kind of give you the information from the book so you don't have to buy it, okay? So having said all of that, it's time for our spiritual mind treatment this morning. Then we'll have our reading. We'll have some wonderful music. The 11s are our guest artists this morning, so we're looking forward to that. So just relax, and let's know this truth together. There is one life, one power, and one presence. That power and that presence is divine. It is the very nature of each and every person in this room this morning. The very nature of each and every one of us is peace. And the words, "Peace, be still, and know that I am God." They bless, uplift, and empower the consciousness of each and every one in this room this morning. And through this lesson this morning, everyone is not only uplifted and inspired, but blessed. Everyone is filled with the joy and abundance of God. The Spirit of God is now expressing through each and every one of us as we learn this morning how to communicate with the Spirit, how to bless ourselves and bless others, and how to have a more meaningful, more joyful, more expressive life. And knowing that we are all prosperous, and knowing that we have greater health, greater wealth, greater creativity and self-expression, and more loving, harmonious relationships. Where there has been an attitude of negation, anything at all that would say no to this truth is hereby uprooted, neutralized, and dissolved away, not to return. And from this new space of love and peace, we joyously go forward in consciousness together this morning with a wonderful experience called inspiration. We are inspired from within to move out into life in a wonderful new direction. These words are the truth for each and every one of us. I am so grateful for all that Spirit provides for each and every one of us that I simply say thank you and release this word into the law of mind in action, where it is free to do its perfect work, and it does. So be it, and together we say, and so it is, and that is the way it is. And now, please help me welcome Court Hassinger, our practitioner, who's going to do the reading this morning. Court.
Good morning. We begin a new month with a new theme, and that theme is divine guidance, and I'm going to do a reading from Science of Mind magazine. We believe unconditionally in the power of prayer. Whenever a troubling situation arises, a dilemma presents itself, or a challenge stops us in our tracks, prayer is always the best go-to strategy. But determining what to pray for can sometimes be confusing, particularly when you're dealing with a complicated issue that has many layers. Add in some emotional attachment to a particular outcome, and you can quickly become overwhelmed. Where do you even begin? You begin with a deep centering breath. Remind yourself that you've got this. You really do. Every time you go into prayer, you're not doing it alone. You're partnering with God to create the highest and best life you possibly can. The most effective first prayer in these situations is a prayer for clarity. We can become so mired in the drama going on around us that it becomes impossible to step back and see the big picture. When we pray for clarity, we're asking God for the ability to sort through the mental and emotional fog, to see the spiritual truth in the situation, and to determine what we really want, what we actually need, and what best serves everyone involved. Once the fog lifts and we begin to see more clearly, we take our prayers to the next level by requesting divine guidance as to how to proceed. Then we amplify that request by praying for the change to follow the guidance we receive. All prayers for guidance are answered, but not all answers are easy or what we were hoping for. Having the courage to let go, let God, and trust where Spirit leads assures a complete and perfect result. And so it is.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to have our announcements. So as I said before, the third week in July, there are 5 weeks in the month of July. The third week in July, I am going to be doing a workshop after the Sunday service, and that will be on the Prospering Power of Love by Catherine Ponder. I'm going to use that book to create that workshop. It's a wonderful little book if you want to get it. Has a lot of great ideas in it and so on. We have a lot of wonderful things coming up. I was able to get a hold of Carole Looke, who is a master emotional freedom technique person. She teaches EFT all over the world. She's going to Madrid. She goes all over the place. I know her very well. I've been working with her myself for quite a while. She's coming to our center in October. It will be in the evening. It's on a Wednesday night. We're going to get flyers and save the date. And she's agreed to do 2 hours of work with us for only $40 a person, which I think is really great. You know, she's pretty expensive. Check her out on YouTube. She charges a lot of money. She's a very prosperous lady, but she's also extremely talented. So I would say if you want to be a part of this, let me know. We'll have sign-up sheets probably starting the end of August. We'll only be able to accommodate about 60 people. It's going to be in this room on a Wednesday night in October, okay? So that is one thing. And then we have another gentleman coming here at the end of September who played with Carlos Santana and also Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's going to do a concert for us. He's also going to Carnegie Hall, so he'll be in New York. Someone said to me, what instrument does he play? And I said, I don't know. He told me he played with Carlos Santana. That's all I needed to hear. So his name, I think, is Michel Pascal, something like that, yeah. Do you know the name, Yoichi? No? So anyway, so I'm looking forward to both of those things and the classes that will be coming up and so on. And summer is upon us, right? So I'm knowing for each and every one of you that we have a good summer, that we wake up every day and do our spiritual practice and all the good stuff. And now it's time for us to wish each other a happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Ronald. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Julie. It's so nice to see you. How are you? How are you? Yeah, good, yeah. Everything going well? Yeah. Did you find a new boyfriend or? No?
I'm letting that go.
Let that go, yeah.
Or the right one will come in the right
Yeah,
time.
and your acting career, is that blossoming?
Blossoming. Knowing that it is.
Good, okay. We'll know that for you, yeah. And also, I forgot to mention, today we have our group treatment. So we do that in groups, so afterwards, if you're interested in a group treatment, we'll be here for you, okay? So having said all of that, please help me welcome the Levins. They are our wonderful musical guest artists today.
So grateful to be here. We were trying to get here, and they closed the bridge, and when they were doing all kinds of things, they closed all the exits, and we started to get a little, and then we said, okay, we're going to Science of Mind and Center for Spirituality. Let's treat that everything goes well. And we get here on time. We get a beautiful. Well, we don't have a park. We're going to find a parking space. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I was leading with fear, like.
And then I was right behind her. We have a rule that said like only one person in the rabbit hole at a time. So we did the treatment, and thank goodness we just found a place right around the corner. So we wanted to do a sing-along this morning.
Something that we all really need to hear a lot more of these days. Just love. So sing with us.
Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth, give me light, give me light, give me faith from birth, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch
Beautiful music, thank you. And congratulations, they were just chosen for the World Council of Religion, is that it? Council of World Religions, up in the Parliament, up in Toronto. So they did a proposal and they were chosen. So congrats. Congratulations, that's wonderful. Very, very wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to be sharing something with you for 4th of July from our wonderful Science of Mind magazine. I really like what this man's talking about. His name is Ernest Holmes. You ever hear of him? He said, as we enter into the spirit of the meaning of U.S. Independence Day, the day when liberty symbolically was conceived, the day when freedom objectively in our country was announced, we should think of it not as a political system or a form of government, but we should think of it as a spiritual idea in the divine mind, taking form in human experience, and we should learn to love the idea and prayerfully handle the embodiment of that idea and nourish it always to greater strength. And what he's saying to us is that freedom is within us. It's innate. It's part of who we are, each and every one of us. And as we nourish it and as we bless ourselves through these days of freedom, we are blessed and we are uplifted and inspired. So I love what Ernest Holmes says about that. And he's another person whose readings are timeless. They really are. I mean, you can read him at any time and get so much from him. He's really such a wonderful, wonderful writer. I've read so many of his books and things he said in Science of Mind. So today we are going to be talking about the connection that we have to spirit. And I was very excited when I started doing this talk because I started out by listening to a man by the name of Peter Diamandis. Anybody ever hear of him? Only one person, two people? I suggest that you get to know Peter Diamandis. He's one of the great thinkers in the world today. He's very friendly with Elon Musk. He started some kind of a university for human learning, universal kinds of things. He's very interested in space travel. A brilliant mind, brilliant, brilliant mind. And today, based on the things that he spoke about, I want to speak to you about, we are so fortunate to be in this teaching because we are always awakening. And it's the way that we are using our mind, and that's what I'm going to be speaking to you about today, to communicate with spirit. So before I do that, I want to start out with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes says something very interesting. He says, we only need to know, but we must know constructively. This is the key to this lesson today. We only need to know, but we must know constructively. Communicating with spirit. So what do we mean by communication? Communication is really, according to Webster's dictionary, sharing ideas. Sharing your ideas with spirit. Sharing your ideas. Now, I think that what we have to do in order to be able to share our ideas with anyone is that we have to begin to recognize we have a relationship with the spirit in our lives. That we are related to spirit. That spirit is a part of us. It is within us. It is always choosing to give to us and to be there for us. So we cannot treat spirit as if it were something that was so high above us. We are taught about God and we say God is almighty. God is an almighty power. But we have to know spirit from a different level. From a level where we can feel that we are relating to spirit in a wonderful way. Because as we do that, as we communicate with the spirit, we are co-creators and we are creating better things in our lives. Letting go of the noise that goes on around us. Peter Diamandis says, I never watch television. I never watch it. He says, because, this is his interesting perspective on it, which I find to be very fascinating. He said, what they are doing is they are selling you something. They're always selling you an idea. And we as human beings are linked into a lot of these things. And what happens is we get into reaction and it changes our chemistry. It changes everything about us emotionally. Has anyone ever had that experience from turning on the television, or am I the only one in the room? Yes. So what he is teaching is to go within, to communicate with spirit, and to use your mind with wisdom, and to become a part of that spirit. It's not an easy thing to do if you're used to watching the news all the time, but if you begin to go within and say some prayers and ask to be guided, this whole month is about being guided. And I have taught you something, and so many people have come to me and said, that was one of the most important things you ever said to me, because they use it every day. And what is it? I ask for and receive divine guidance. How many of you are saying that? Good. If you're not saying that, that's okay. That's not a problem. You do what you want to do, you know. That's what I love about this teaching. But I say it every day, and the reason I say it is because I know more and more in my life that I am divinely guided, that I have become more of a constructive knower, being constructive about knowing things rather than being destructive about knowing things. So with what's going on out there, we need more and more to be able to communicate with the spirit of life, to go within and to really communicate. Communication means sharing your ideas. And you have to feel worthy enough. And if you don't feel worthy enough, then you have to do your treatment work so that you will be worthy enough, that you deserve to be able to communicate with spirit. Because in this teaching, communicating with spirit is everything. I do it on a daily basis, either through meditation, through prayer, through asking for and receiving divine guidance. I ask for and receive divine guidance. I say that every day. And some days I don't want to say it, and I say it anyway, because it empowers me and it blesses me and it uplifts me. So communication with spirit is very, very important. It is important because spirit has an intelligence, and that intelligence is always willing to give its best to you. If you are willing to use it, to be one with it, to accept it, it will always give its best to you. So you have to know then that you are divine by design, you see? You are really divine by design. You are designed from within to be a co-creator with God, with Spirit. Spirit is always creating through us. How do we communicate with Spirit? So this is what I wrote in this lesson. I wrote down 3 different ways that we can begin to communicate with Spirit. And I'd like to share them with you this morning. They are part of this lesson. So the first way, then, that we are going to communicate with Spirit is to wake up to this idea that Spirit is within you. Does everyone know that? Yes. Spirit is within you. It's not outside of you. It's not up there. It's within you. There is a part of you that is spiritual. Ernest Holmes says, you must know in a constructive manner. And when you are being constructive toward yourself and other people, then you are communicating with Spirit in a more wonderful, more intelligent way. When we get off the path, as we often do, you think it's easy today to get off your path? A little bit, just a touch, right? We're living in very challenging times, is my point. And as we work with these divine ideas and we become more divine in our identity, we begin then to bless ourselves and bless other people. And we begin to see the spirit, the spiritual identity in others as well as in ourselves. Whether we agree with them or don't agree with them, to wish harm on another person is not a good thing because you're really wishing harm on yourself. So we need to let go of that as an idea and get a new idea that blesses and brings peace to each and every one of us. And through communication, through communicating with Spirit, we are being divinely guided into right action and right knowing. This is really the point of this lesson this morning. We must become knowers in a constructive manner. There are many people who influence us. We are all being influenced all of the time. But when we go to Spirit, we are being influenced by the divine. There is this power and presence in the universe that operates through us and for us. And it operates and surrounds us, and we are blessed by it and uplifted by it. So if you can get that you are divine by design, if you can get that you have this power within you, then we can proceed with this lesson this morning. So everyone has that idea. Everyone is enriched by that idea and blessed by it. That my teacher used to say, Dr. Grayson, he would say, you don't come into this world on your own. Of course, you have family, but you also have something. It's like your spiritual backpack. The spirit is within you. And you can open it up and you can find all kinds of goodies within that spiritual backpack. Because it is going to bless you, uplift you, and encourage you. And all that you desire you can have through prayer, through meditation, through visioning, through all of these different tools and techniques that a lot of people before us did not have. That's why I say we are always evolving. There is an evolution that is taking place within us all of the time. So we either go forward or we go backward. So I want to go forward with my life. I want to keep thinking this way. And the only way to do that is through practice and repetition. Practice and repetition, Reverend Michael Beckwith always talks about this. It's so important in your life to keep practicing and repeating things. A very skilled artist gets that way because they practice. Because they practice. So let's get on with this lesson then. We can begin the lesson if you know that you are a part of the divine. So number one says how to communicate with spirit. How do you do it? You pray, and then you ask for and receive divine guidance. And you take ownership of this idea. You take ownership of what you are doing with your consciousness. Does everybody get that? You own what you are doing with your consciousness. In other words, you can blame somebody else. A lot of us do that. We can blame and we can blame and we can blame, and what happens? Does anything change from that? What changes is when you take action and you do something differently. And I know I've said this before, but it needs to be said again. We pray and then we move our feet. So how do we do that? How to communicate with spirit? Quiet the mind. Quiet the mind. You see, if I said to you, go home and turn on the news and then ask for help. Ask for help first. And don't turn on the news. That's even better, you see? That was a joke. I wasn't serious about that. You all got this look on your face like, wow. Just wanted to see if you're paying attention. So how to communicate with spirit means that we go to the one that is within us. We quiet the mind. We meditate, we pray. We begin our communication by creating a place within us. Spirit is already there, but we are contacting that spirit, you see? It's a relationship. So you are contacting the spirit of life which indwells you, and it begins to bless you. We all have our own way of doing that. Recognizing there is a spirit within me through the first step of treatment, recognizing God as the source of my supply. Recognizing that God is the source of my supply. Knowing that I am the divine knower, and that I am knowing for myself right now and for everyone in this room that they are able to communicate with spirit in a new way. And through this message, that they are getting this message and that they are practicing this every day, asking for and receiving divine guidance. You see? It's different from regular guidance. When we guide ourselves with the human mind versus the divine mind, sometimes we go down the wrong trail. When we have the divine mind, which empowers us and is always for us and blessing us, we are uplifted and inspired by it. Each and every person in this room is. And then we get to number two. And number two is what for? That's what I wrote down. Number two, communicating with spirit. What for? And then there's the why. You don't need to know why. Why will take you into 20 different directions. I want to share a story with you. I was an assistant minister up in northern New Jersey before I became a minister here and started my own and so on. And there were two people in the center, and they were creating a manual for new people, a welcome manual, okay? Now, those of you that know me know that I don't like corporate stuff. It doesn't gel with me for some reason. It's just not my style. They had about a 20-page book that they asked me to look at to welcome new members. And it was at least 15, 20 pages. They were asking people everything. What's your favorite color? What color are your eyes? What are your hobbies? What are blah, blah, blah. And it went on and on and on. And they said, can you give us your opinion on this? This is what I'm telling you about why. Why leads you into so many things that get you off track. And they said to me, what do you think, Reverend Loretta? Do you like this? And I said, what do I think? If I were a new member and I came in here and I had to look at this, I'd leave. That's what I told them. That's what I think. You see, when you go into so many directions like that, you can turn people off rather than just being a simple welcome to our center. You can always get information about people, but you don't want to scare them. That's what we do with our own consciousness. We begin to scare ourselves. We say, okay, I'm going to communicate with my spirit, the spirit within me. And then we begin to scare ourselves. What are some ways in which we scare ourselves? How do we do that? This can't possibly happen. What else? What are some other ones? Yes? Yeah, something good happens and you say, I can't believe it. Or you get in a phone conversation, you talk to someone and they start telling you, why would you want to do something like that? You've never done it before. Why are you even thinking about it? The reason I'm putting all of this out to you is that's where why leads you. Why am I doing this? And then you get people with their 25-page report that will tell you why you're doing it. But what happens is you get taken away from your idea. And that idea, whatever it is for you, whether it's health or wealth or creativity, you have to stay with that idea and nourish it. You can't go in 20 different directions. If you are traveling somewhere and you want to get from here, let's say up to Cape Cod or Boston or wherever you're going, you take the highway up there. You don't get off and say, I wonder if I should go back on that highway. I think I'll try this one. I think I'll head south. I think I'll head... That's not what we do. So when you communicate with spirit, you have an idea and you work with that idea. Whatever it is for you. Only you know what that is. And if you talk to other people and they tell you things, you say there's not a word of truth to that. I remember once telling someone I was writing a book and they said, yeah, but who would want to read it? Still remembered that. Ouch. Yeah, see? You do remember those things, don't you? So anyway, having said all of that, and I still wrote the book, and it's okay, it's all good. But I remember that. That's my point. But you see, when you really learn how to communicate with spirit, you will not get off your journey the way that you used to. That's what I've noticed with my growth. You see? As you are growing along spiritual lines, you begin to say, I am not going to take that offense and nurse it. I'm not going to nurse that one. I'm going to let it go. Reverend Michael, he says to be spiritual is to be able to let go of more and more and more and more. And that includes everything in life. You know, every season I start releasing things. I just found out that I had 60 pairs of underwear. And I released 20 of them. I washed them, but I released them because I know that people can use them. And I don't need 60 pairs of underwear. Nobody does. I didn't even know I had that many pairs of underwear. So why am I sharing this with you? I don't know. Anyway, I'll get back on track again, I promise. Okay, so what for? That is the question. You see where that why takes you? Why am I doing this? Why is this happening to me? That's a good one. Why does this always happen to me? Remember I shared the story with you, the woman that works with me? Her car was hit, and she said, why does this always happen? Every time I get a new car, it happens. She's placing that into the law. Don't say that. Something happens to you, just know that it happened, release it, neutralize it, dissolve it, and know that this is creating a gift for me. There's a gift in this, and I intend to find it. You see? Whether it's with a relationship, whether it's with a challenge that you have, There is a gift in this, and I intend to find it, you see, rather than going to those old words and saying, why does this keep happening to me over and over again? Let that idea go. Let it go, because it's not serving you, you see. Get a new idea about everything that you are doing and then go to Spirit with it, but stay with that idea. If you really have a desire to do something, support yourself with it and know that Spirit is also supporting you. Okay, so number 2 is what for? What am I asking for? And what this means is you are getting clarity about your ideas. You are letting go of the confusion. So many people say to me, I'd really like to demonstrate more money. And then they say, well, I have my health. Well, good, you have your health. You can have some money too, right? You can have both. You can have all of it. Health, wealth, creative self-expression, relationships, all of it. Pray for all of it and pray to release whatever doesn't serve you. Pray to let it go, to neutralize and dissolve it. We had a wonderful class with Fanny and Barbara about the power of your word. Your words are powerful. And let me tell you something. Most of the people out there are not getting that. They're really not. Our words are powerful. If we are hating one another, and if we are wishing all this stuff on one another, no, I'm not joining. Sorry. I don't have to be popular anymore because I have learned through this teaching that I can connect with Spirit and I can go back to wholeness and I can know for other people constructive ideas and peace because that's what I would like to have for myself. That's what I want to do. You know, I think of the words of St. Francis, make me an instrument of your peace. Wayne Dyer used to talk about that all of the time. We miss him. I miss him. He was a wonderful teacher. He really was. But he said, make me an instrument of your peace. So allowing yourself to communicate with the divine, you are becoming an instrument for peace. The divine idea. communication with Spirit and getting in touch with what you would like to have and allowing yourself to have it no matter what someone's saying. You see? We fight against other people. We blame them. We get mad at them. We say they're stopping me. They're stopping me from doing what I want to do. Really? Who's stopping? Who's in there? Are you in there? If you're in there, then be there with your spirit. That is the message of this lesson this morning. This all came through me from spirit. All of it. The whole lesson. I wrote it, I thought about it, but this whole idea of being at one with what you would like to demonstrate. And when someone says to you, I don't think you can do that, you just say, thank you for sharing. You see? Or as Wayne Dyer would say, I free myself of the good opinion of other people. That's another wonderful one. Because what he is asserting and affirming there is I free myself of the good opinion of other people. So you're not going there with them. You're not doing that dance. That's the why. Why? Why am I asking for a large cash windfall when I have my help? Because I am. See? That's all. That's all. And I can honestly say to you that touched me a little bit. It really did. Because I knew where she was going with it. She was upset because I was getting money every week, and she didn't have the courage to say she wanted some too. Yes? That's what happens. That's who we are. So we have to stay in our own, with our own. Let other people say what they will, but stay with your own ideas. They are precious. They are valuable. I want to leave you with some questions from this lesson this morning. And the first question is, and this came through me while I was doing the lesson, how much is your mind worth? Very interesting question. I've never heard it before. It's original. I put it all up by myself. Somebody will come to me after the service and say, Reverend Rudd, somebody said that. That's okay. How much is your mind worth? Did you ever think about that? I never did. I used to think of that slogan, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But how much is your mind worth? Think about that. And then go to the next level. How much is your mind worth when it is influenced by the divine? Think about that. You are worth so much more than you ever will realize or recognize. You see? It's how you are using your mind, how you are communicating with spirit, how you are beginning to become, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the only thinker in your world, because you really are. You really are the only thinker in your world. And when you get more clarity about that, and when you bless other people with their good intentions, that woman had very good intentions for me. She was telling me that I should be grateful for my health, and I am, and I would like to have a cash windfall. You see? I don't have to feel guilty about that. I feel good about that. Remember, Raymond Charles Barker's words about money. Money is God in action. Remember that? Money is God in action. There's nothing wrong with money. The kind of person that you are, Tony Robbins, he says, whatever kind of person you are, when you have more money, you'll be more of that. So if you're nasty, you'll be even nastier. And if you're a good, kind, caring person, you'll be good, more kind, more caring. Yes, very true. So I want to ask you those questions, and I want you to think about them when you go home this week. How much is your mind worth? How much is it worth to you? And how much is your mind worth when it is under the influence of spirit? You see, you can't even put a price on something like that, because your mind is giving you so much. There are healings, there are revealings of health and wholeness. There's prosperity, there's all kinds of demonstrations. We heard from Lillian during the class, and I'm just going to relate this, the lady that comes here most of the time on Sunday. And she did a treatment, and her computer wasn't working. And within a couple of hours, a neighbor came over and brought her a brand new computer. She didn't ask for it. Yeah. All kinds of things happen when we trust and we become constructive with our knowingness. You see, we become more constructive with our knowingness. That is the beauty of this teaching. That is when we communicate with the Spirit within us. We get the clarity, the peace of mind. We get clear about what it is that we would like to have and demonstrate. Does it take time? Yes. We live in a time and space continuum. Definitely. And so it does take time. Are you worth it? Only you can answer that question. You have to know from within that you are worthy. You have to honor the divine within you. Each and every one of us has as a part of us a spiritual identity. And when we go to it and we work with it, it blesses our lives, it uplifts us, it encourages us, and it inspires us. And I'd like to end this lesson this morning with a spiritual mind treatment for each and every one of you for communication with spirit. And we have our group treatment afterwards. So some people are saying abundance and joy, and we'll do that in group treatment. But right now, the goal of this treatment, the intention of this treatment is for each and every one to begin to practice communicating with spirit on a daily basis and getting clear about what it is that they would like to have in their lives. More good. So this word affirms for each and every person in this room that each one then is a spiritual center. Each one is centered in the one mind, the divine mind. And each one is blessed, uplifted, and inspired from within to move out into life in a new direction, to get clarity about what it is that they desire for themselves, and to improve and renew their connection to spirit. And through this new clarity, through this new idea of right action and right knowing, each person in this room has a renewed ability to communicate with spirit on a daily basis, to be blessed, uplifted, and inspired, to say yes to life, to know that through this inspired message, each and every one here is open and receptive to divine ideas, ideas of blessings, ideas of inspiration. Any thought patterns that anyone had when they came in here of any form of resistance, rejection, or rebellion, those 3 R's are now uprooted, neutralized, and dissolved into the nothingness from whence they came. And each and every person in this room is a more loving expression of the divine. And through this word, each one is inspired to move out into life joyously and freely, with more joy, more abundance, and more loving, harmonious relationships. This word is the truth released into the law. It is done, so be it, and together we say, and so it is. And that is the way it is. Thank you. And now, we're going to have the
I needed that. Thank you. So this is a song that can be taken in either as a personal thing or as a relationship to spirit.
Used to think that life was just a race to reach a point called win, to be happy in the end, but the point is to begin.
Every day's a lifetime.
Another day that you
How I'll be remembered.
is a blessing of you. What I have to give inside becomes a portion that I keep. The love that I receive becomes a harvest that I will reap.
Let me be remembered.
As someone true,
Not for what I am alone.
but for who I am with you.
Laugh with me. Life bursts open into spring. Sing with me and see what harmony we're bringing. Hold my hand and I will lead you to a quiet stream. Together we will understand the meaning of this dream, the meaning of this. Without you, I'm a shadow dancing in the frame of time, a scribbled line of prose, but with you an endless rhyme. Every day is a lifetime.
And the chance to choose.
how I'll be remembered.
Blessing, Lord.
Laugh with me, and life bursts open into spring. Sing with me, see what harmony we're bringing. Hold my hand, and I will lead you to a quiet stream. Together we will understand the meaning of this dream. The meaning of this.
A song, a story. Without love, there's no glory.
What is the center of it all? 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 Laugh with me, life bursts open in the spring. Sing with me, see what harmony we're bringing. Hold my hand, and I will lead you to a quiet stream. Together we will understand the meaning of this dream. The meaning of this. Laugh with me, life bursts open in the spring. Sing with me, see what harmony we're bringing. Hold my hand, and I will lead you to a quiet stream. Together we will understand the meaning of this dream. The meaning of this.
Can I say really quick, I always laugh when we're playing that in public places because I think